Okay, let's see what the Pro Charge Mopar is going to work on today. Okay, that didn't work out too well. What do you have here? They sent the gaskets out with it. Or a gasket, that was nice of them. RGS PHH grid heater delete plate in black. Main gasket and horn gasket. Guess these are a couple little risers for the fuel rail. Okay. And here's the business we got to get into. Pull this out, disconnect some wires, the 6 intake tubes. I broke that one loose back there just to see if I could do it before I got started. The one that everybody says is the hardest. And we'll take out the fuel rail, pull the plate, take the grid heater out. May or may not remove that. I guess I can take that out, being everything's all wide open here. I can take the cable out that goes over to the relay and then take the relay out. Let's see how this goes. Before we get in too deep, we're gonna blow everything off. Go to town on this to get all the dirt out so we don't get any in the injectors. So I was thinking about with this intake horn is just because the intake plenum is back here where the gasket is, maybe just grind some of this out just to open up that short turn just a little bit, just to make the hole overall bigger. That's not going to do anything much considering how restricted this thing already is. But this one actually looks pretty good. I think this engine now has like 230K on it, and then whoever turns stuff off, I don't think they cleaned this all out, but who knows, dude. I don't know when the thing was turned off because it had an engine swap, because the truck has 409 on it, and this engine's up to, when I got it, it had like 183,000. I think it's up to about 220 or 230 now. But anyway, this looks pretty clean. It's just the way it's set up, it's pretty restrictive as far as how much it blocks the airflow. And then also it said that that big thing that's down inside there, you'll see it when I get it out, but it's just right in the way from the airflow that goes to the back 2 or 3 cylinders. So anyway, this isn't really performance mod. I'm just trying to get rid of that nut that can break off down there and go into your engine. Some of those are actually pretty tight. And then they're overlapping. Fuel. See about busting this one. loose. Let's see what that do look like. Man, you can barely... That's hitting. Let me get another grip on it. What's the deal here? There we go. Right in between there. Oops, arm was probably in the way. And this one, get down and pull. Okay, like that. Hit my knee. Oh, this is only the third one. Holy smokes. Man, I need like some kind of a ratcheting mechanism for this. There we go. Now we're on it. Get down in there. I'm having to go a 16th of a turn, or I mean a 12th of a turn all the way out. That's nutty. 12th. And my main thing is I don't want to get dirt up in the injectors. Which, who knows, I'm just keeping an eye on it closely because you never know when one's going to go bad. And I'll get me a set of DDPs. Some of those clean burns. 20 or whatever they are % over. Man, he doesn't want to. We got 2 more back there, but I can actually get my hand back there on those. This one right here is like in between this. I guess I could get a socket and put on that to get that sensor out. The intake sensors in the horn. I'm not sure exactly if that's factory boost pressure or what. I think that's factory boost pressure because my boost gauge goes over here for my other one. Let's see. No, that doesn't help. It's just slow going. Just like that. Yeah, if you see here, I'm putting these little bags over the 2 pipes that have to stay in here, just in case I'm throwing dirt around. And there's 2, that's like some kind of a banjo fitting looking deal. And so it's got a wash on each side to seal it up. And I'll put some new ones on there when I put the head gasket and studs on it. Or hold on, maybe that was when I put this Black Market Performance thing on there. I put some new ones on here because I did away with this one pipe. And then anyway, we're getting close to having it out. Now I got to figure out how to unhook this last clip back here. Let me figure that out real quick. This is probably full of fuel. I think you're supposed to put a block off back here or something on this, aren't you? To actually increase your pressure or keep it from blowing by. I think that's where that thing goes. Or something, I'm not sure. I think you put a special fitting in there if you want to increase your pressure on it. Maybe I'm totally whacked. But anyway, I think I've seen it somewhere. Yeah, and here's what they're talking about, how restrictive it is as far as blocking flow. But man, I can see for race, but yeah, if that whole thing's gone, maybe. I don't know. Being under boost. Let's see how nasty it is down in there though. Let's see. It's not bad, dude. This truck here is not bad, even with the 200 plus K on it. That's why it has zero blow by, none. Somebody actually took care of the second engine they put in here. The first one went out at like 180 K, and they did an engine swap. So whoever got this thing the second time around took care of it. But it was a cattle hauler and a hay hauler down there in Southwest Texas. Oh, okay, I'm gonna get a vacuum cleaner, clean this stuff up just to make sure there's nothing down in there, clean my gasket surfaces, and then we'll see about going back together with it. Okay, we got this sensor. We took the sensor out of here, transfer it over to this. It has a little gasket on it. So, let's see if that'll screw in there. Yep, that's a win. Okay, and also I noticed that, which these little metal things here go to hold up the rail. I also noticed that the factory has a steel shim gasket. So, instead of using this fiber one that might blow out, I'm going to go ahead and use the factory steel shim gasket because it's still in good shape, and I'm sure that'll hold better. And as long as this is nice and flat, which it is, that'll work. Now, for this one, I may not be able to get this factory gasket off, so I will most definitely be using this gasket for that. And here's another thing I noticed. These, you would think it would be perfectly clean down inside there, but dude, it is not too snappy. I mean, I wouldn't mind blowing back through, but I don't want to loosen anything up that's down in there, and it's working the way it is, but I wouldn't want to like spray a bunch of cleaner and then get some of that stuff down in the rail and then not be able to get it back out. Because your feeds here, you'd have to blow through this way to blow stuff back out of it. So yeah, I guess I could hold it upside down and try to get some out that way. We'll see. That's rather odd. Must be water or just stuff in the fuel over the years. See, I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to leave these top four loose, so that way when I put on my lines, I can tighten them down, then come back. Once I get all my lines on there, then come back and tighten these. So that way my lines are, I don't have trouble lining them up. I can go ahead and tighten down the base plate. These four that go to the delete plate, because these others will still be loose. That'll just keep me from having troubles with the, I mean, I'm not sure how much it really matters with those tubes, but I don't want to get in a predicament where my tubes aren't really going on or lining up, or whenever I tighten them down, they're not sealed properly. So we'll tighten these bottom ones, or the ones that hold this fuel rail in position. I'll snug those down after. So what I did is I hand tightened the front and the back to get that thing positioned. Now I'm going to tighten down the 4 bolts so I don't have trouble getting to them after I get the other ones on. Then I'll just start in the back here, bam, 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 and do all those. Okay, that went together fairly easy. Everything looks good. But, as you know, they say this thing's restrictive. But, let me see. This guy's company right here, Josh, he, I think they make a couple thousand horsepower or something with this horn. 1,500 or something like that. But because your gasket is way back here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up just to increase the size of that hole. I mean, that's a good amount of area. I'd like to roll that short turn back just a little bit, but it's pretty flat already. And then the rest of this stuff is just straight out, so there's not much you can do. But at least it'll open this hole up some more to be closer to what the hole is in here. In this belly tray and this. I mean, because look at this. This goes way up in like this. So your gasket, it's just right on the edge. And that horn, I'm telling you, it goes like that far up into it. So, you know, it's free. Get out the grinder, and then I thought about taking this thing out too. A lot of people just buy that piece that goes here. But I thought about, the only thing is, I mean, yeah, it's not going to blow that, dude. I could just take this thing off. Just drill those 2 little holes, right? Drill those 2 little screws out. That's what I might do. Just drill those 2 little screws out and take that plate out of there so it's not partially closed a little bit. You know, that way that shaft stays in there and it stays sealed up real good. We'll see. Let me get at this. Okay, this here is just showing, all I'm doing is going back flush with the divider. Here's the gasket line right here. And then the belly tray, I think it does stick out just a little bit about under here. So this is actually going to overhang it to the inside. But you can see how much the difference is just by taking that back to be flush with the where the bolt boss comes through. And then after that, I just kind of rolled that back up in there. I need to actually take a little bit more off the top of that. I need to roll that smoother on the short side turn, which, man, it's gonna, the way this like comes in at an angle like that, it's gonna blow across anyway. But anyway, no big deal. But I'm gonna lay that back just a tad more. Then I'll stop just to show you guys how much difference that is of opening that you can get. And actually it's from here to here, and then that kind of flares out. So you're actually, this little bitty spot here, now at least it comes over to here. So you can open that up a little. Okay. Forgot to pull this thing out. The mass airflow sensor. I don't know if it's even the pressure sensor too or not, but anyway, that got these metal shavings all over it. I ain't ground on aluminum too much. I've done a couple cylinder heads. I had to get my cylinder head porting equipment out that were cast iron. But this stuff here, man, it pokes bad. It's all in my shoes. I started trying to wipe some of this stuff out, and it started stabbing me. As you can tell, that is a lot better. And like I say, I laid this back as much, as much as I could. And then, but yeah, that's a lot better. And then this thing here, one of the bolts came out. It's a Torx bit, and one of them came out, and the other one snapped off. So then I had to take a little, not a chisel, but a punch, and drive the rest of that bolt out that was in there. And I squeezed that all back together so it's as small as possible, but that'll be okay, dude. I'm gonna clean all this up, get some brake clean all through it, put my mass airflow sensor in there, and then start to put them back together. But I like that. I think that's a lot better. I mean, that's a lot more room than what it was. Okay, I think I got it done. Let's see here. We'll go over this. Got all the fuel lines tightened. I got these two coming up from the pump tightened back to the rail. I got all the connectors in, including the rail plug. This one down here, the two main ones. This is for my 3-in-1 boost gauge, boost, EGT, and trans temp. See, there's my EGT that goes over to it. Now this here, let me grab this real quick and I'll show you. I pulled the line out that goes over there to the grid heater, but I put the nut back on there because what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna leave those two wires hooked up so when the computer calls for grid heat, it'll energize the coil, which is almost zero. I mean, it's like 1 amp or something, a couple amps to energize the coil, and then it'll just be going open, nothing. But now let's test this thing out and see if it'll crank up. I got this sensor is in. Originally when I did the head gasket and the studs, I forgot that one out. It was whistling like a big dog. And then I got this cleaned off with electrical cleaner, contact cleaner. I do have some mass airflow meter cleaner in there, but it was under my seat. The kid's car seat's in there, so I didn't mess with it. But I cleaned that back up, got all the shavings out. And man, you talk about those aluminum shavings are bad, dude. I grabbed the rag with that stuff on there and went to wet my hands off, and it stuck me everywhere. Then I had to go in and change my socks because it was all in my Crocs, poking my toes. It was nuts. Anyway, we are going to try this thing out and see if it'll run. Now, isn't there, well, there's a trick to get stuff up to the pump. You just hit it like that, and then I can hear that. I don't know if you can, but the pump's running to get, it should have fuel up to the high pressure pump anyway, the CP3. So I guess it's just a matter of cranking it until it takes off. Yeah. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, I've never had to crank it like this, even whenever I changed the even when I changed the fuel filter a few times. Ding, ding, ding. There we go. I guess because the fuel rail and all the injector lines were empty. It actually took a little bit. Next up, I got to change out that electric fan clutch because it's just blowing all the time, and you cannot get this thing to heat up in the winter. I've got this bypass, which is a 180 stat in the back, and I think I got a 192 up here in the front, but it only gets to like 140 maybe. I mean, the max you can get up to is 140 in the winter, unless you're like hauling down the highway, then it would get up to about 180. That's as high as it goes, 180 in the winter. So I got to get this fan clutch. It's actually stuck in the on position. Even though it's not sending a signal to it, it's real hard to turn. So I got to put one on there so the fan will stop when your AC's not on or when it's cold. But hey, so far so good. Grid heater delete. I got a mess to clean up here. I'm not sure if anybody else noticed in the video. This was hanging way down. I forgot to tighten this. The boot was basically off. If I can get that. That should do it. It's all the way in. One thing I forgot. I would have had no boost. No boost. Got that on there. On the gear side, yeah. Lights. Yep, runs the same as it always did. Think about it. If the intake horn was actually a restriction and not the heads or the valves, most likely the valves on this thing, valves and bowls, but if the intake horn was a restriction and you open it up, or the grid heater intake horn combo, you'd have less boost because you'd have more going into the engine. So only way you can check that out is with dyno or track. But anyway, everything looks good. I had to go to the grocery store because this is a grocery getter, so if you're going to take it for a test run, you got to go to HEB. And with my little buddy. Actually, that's my daughter's little buddy.